my angels, it's Hailey Reese and welcome back to Wine Wednesday, where every single Wednesday I pour myself a glass of wine and sit back and talk with you guys about whatever it is that you've requested or that I feel passionate about talking about. It's nothing planned. I literally just sit here with an idea in mind and just share with you guys everything that I'm thinking. I have loved doing it every single week ever since I've started. It kind of feels like a therapeutic hour for me where I sit back and I just chit chat with you guys, and it just means the world to me to be able to share any wisdom that I've accumulated over the years, but also just raise conversation with you guys and see what you guys think of everything down in the comments below. Today we're going to be talking about a relatively controversial subject, and that is the concept and idea of money, the concept and idea of whether or not money truly does buy happiness. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys on my views on all of this today. And I really want to hear from you guys in the comment section below your views on this, because like I said, it is relatively controversial, and I think that people are very passionate about the subject. Money is the root of all evil, but at the same time, money is the root of many blessings. So that is what we're gonna dive into today. If you have yet to do so, please go ahead and enjoy your beverage of choice with me. If you wanna have a glass of wine with me, pull it up, pull it up. If you don't drink, or maybe you're underage, or you just don't like drinking, and you want a glass of chocolate milk or something like that, get that now. And without further ado, let's just dive right on into this. I feel like this is gonna be a lengthy one. Today, I am drinking a glass of Chardonnay. I actually don't really like sweet wines, interestingly enough. When I first got into wine, I started out with like the most juice-like wine ever. It was Girls' Night Out. It's delicious, but it's very, very, very sweet. And then I gradually moved into Moscato, which is a very sweet wine as well. And now I'll only enjoy sweet wine like maybe on a patio somewhere in a hot summer day. But I prefer like Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, that kind of stuff, for those of you who have been asking. So I actually got the inspiration behind this video from a Reese's Pieces that I follow on Twitter, and her name is Coffee Cat, and she tweeted, "Anybody ever realize how shameful it is to be poor? Like that feeling when your card declines is scary, but moreover, it's embarrassing. You don't want anyone to see or hear it. You feel the need to make excuses. I'm tired of that. Money is a tool, not a mark of character." And a lot of people actually really liked this tweet. And I saw a comment from another Reese's Pieces, Ken, who said, "Once I literally had no food whatsoever and I thought I had $20 on my card. I went to the store for milk, cereal, and maybe enough food to last a week. And when I went to buy it, my card declined. And I literally cried." And then she replied and said, "Dude, I feel that in my bones. It's sick that on top of worrying as to whether or not you can buy food, you have to worry about what others will think of it." And then he replied, "The cashier was rude too. It was horrible." And so I read that tweet, and I actually did reply saying that this was going to be a topic for Wine Wednesday, because I've been there. And what's interesting and where I think I can give perspective on this subject matter is I've had no money and I've had money. And you really learn a lot about the value of money and the value that's put on money when you've had it and you've also not had it. So I'm gonna sip some of this wine and then we're gonna get into it, because I feel like this is gonna be rambly. I apologize. If you don't like videos where someone kind of jumps all over the place, this probably isn't a video for you, but I have so much that I wanna say about this, and I hope that I convey it properly. I've lately had kind of a bad habit of trying to say something in the right way, and it just comes off completely wrong. So hopefully none of my words are misconstrued and you guys can see where I'm coming from here. That was a big swig. I'm gonna lower my glass because I know that I give a lot of you anxiety when I flail it around. And when I'm editing these videos, I give myself anxiety too, so sorry about that. But all right, so I guess in order to really like give my view on this, I kind of have to let you guys know where I've came from and where I've come from, and kind of take you through how I got to where I am now. Now, I'm not gonna like go too deep into all of it. If you guys want a video on like my life, I think I've lived 1,000 lives in one life, so, but I come from a family of very hardworking people. My family was just very, very hardworking. Now, my dad's mom, and actually there's a saying that my dad would say, and him and his sister would say it, and we used to giggle as kids, me and my cousins, but whenever they would reflect on their childhood, meaning my dad's childhood, he would say, "We was po." In fact, my grandmother, who has since passed, I love you, one year sold her car to purchase Christmas gifts for my aunt and my dad. So my dad definitely came from a poor upbringing. With that being said, he was never poor because he had love and his family always made ends meet, and no matter what, he never did without. He never went to bed hungry, and he never, didn't have a roof over his head, but he definitely came from a poor family. My mom definitely came from a family that did very well. My grandpa worked. Grams, as you know, would stay home and take care of the kids in the house. And my grandpa was an incredibly hard worker. I admire him so much for the amount of hard work he put into his life. In fact, one of the hardest pills for me to swallow with any success or any financial success that I have or will have is that I'm unable to give back to my grandpa the way that he gave to everybody. I wish more than anything I could be paying his mortgage right now. So they were considered like middle to like upper class, but that was solely based off of hard work. He worked very, very, very hard in his lifetime, and because of that, my mom had a very consistent and stable upbringing. In fact, anytime that anybody needed money in the family, my grandpa would just pick up overtime hours and give. He was incredible. So my dad came from a poor upbringing. My mom came from a very, average upbringing. And I, in turn, came into a very average upbringing as well. My parents split when I was 2. My dad went on and became wildly successful, and my mom would later become wildly successful as well. And I can truly say for the beginning portion of my life, I never did without. My mom actually moved into my grandparents' home, which is my haunted house, and saved a whole bunch of money so that she could in turn go and buy an amazing home. She was a top mortgage broker. She, really manifested a incredible life, and I can say in confidence that in my early childhood, I never did without. I was so blessed, and I was also taught, which I think is very important, the fact that not everybody had a comfortable childhood like that, and I was continuously taught to give back and to give thanks for every single thing that I had. So definitely can't wait to implement that on the upbringing of my future children. Like I said, eventually we'd move out of my grandparents' house, and my mom bought a beautiful home. At this time, my sister was in the picture, and, we really had a great upbringing. I was able to be enrolled in any sports that I wanted to be in, and, I was very blessed until my mom wound up dating a man who was incredibly abusive, and he was an alcoholic. And unfortunately, my mom made the mistake of allowing him to have access to her banking. And he was physically abusive, mentally abusive. If you guys want to hear a whole video on that and coping and getting through it, I can definitely do that. It would be a very sad video, very dark video. This was the hardest time of my whole life, you guys. I remember being so young and naive, and I would stay up all night listening to him mistreating her and get in the middle. And in turn, I would, get hit or thrown, and it was horrible. But my mother is my life, and I wanted to protect her in every aspect. And, Family and Children's Services were called. That's a whole other video for a whole other day. But when my mom finally got the courage to leave him and to go to the police and do it properly and safely, he was so angry at her for leaving him that he drained her bank account and left us with nothing. Every single thing that my mother had worked for was ripped away from us, and we lost our house, like I've told you in a previous video. We basically lost everything. And suddenly this life of comfortability that I was in, this life of, not knowing financial stress was ripped away. And I was very aware of the financial situation that we were in because we were relying on the food bank to feed us. And going to the grocery store was a game of using the calculator to make sure that what was in the bank account was enough to get up to the cash and pay. And I understand, because of this time in my life, the excuses that would be made when the card was declined, or when transactions didn't go through, or you didn't have the money or the basic needs to buy groceries. Things that I had not taken for granted because I was taught gratitude, thank goodness. But the things that I'd never thought of before were suddenly right before me, and the reality that not everybody has was now my reality. And my mom desperately tried everything she could to make ends meet. In fact, my grandparents moved in with us at this point in time. My grandpa had cancer, so he was really, really sick, and they moved in, and so the medication that my grandpa required, the medication that my grandpa actually required at this particular point in time was not covered by the government. And in fact, he wouldn't get it covered because he would apply for coverage for it until it was too late, and he passed away shortly after. But, we were all living together and coming together, and I will say that I learned the true definition of family supporting each other and coming together and, sharing everything. And I remember so distinctively in my memory that I was babysitting for a little girl across the street. I think I was 12 years old at the time. And I was babysitting for this little girl across the street, and I was making $20 a week. And it was like a couple hours after school. I would go there after school, I'd walk her, to the house, and I would watch her, and it was $20 a week. And I remember being so proud the first week that I made that $20, and I marched over across the street back to my house and presented it to my mom and said, "Mom, we can get groceries this week." And looking back, I had no idea that $20, would just get the basics, but I was willing to pitch in and give. And it was hard, you guys. I remember my teachers all knew everything that was going on, and the fact that my grandpa was sick, my mom was sick at the time too, we had no money, and my teachers actually gave me a free yearbook, and they allowed me to go on school trips that we couldn't afford to go on. So after my grandpa passed away was when we would lose our house, and we lost everything, and it was kind of like this rock bottom state. So I get it. Moving on from that, when I wound up doing music and, getting a record deal and all of that, I finally had money again. It was amazing. It was great. I, had everything that I ever wanted in front of me. And then right before I was about to launch and release my album, my lung collapsed, and I was not able to, record music out in the States anymore because I had to heal. And on top of that, I couldn't travel for 3 months. I couldn't fly on a plane for 3 months. And then on top of that, I was so nervous over my health condition that I didn't want to go somewhere without free health care, because now this was a pre-existing condition, so insurance wouldn't cover it. Now, at this particular point in time, I started nannying, and I was bartending at Tyler's parents' bar. And this was a very, very humbling experience for me, because I'll never forget, I handed somebody $1 back for their change at the bar, and this woman reached into her pocket and pulled out 5 cents and said, "This is for you." And I just felt so belittled in that moment, because I understood not being able to tip, but when I gave you $1 and you're telling me 5 cents is for me when I've waited on you all night, I felt as though it was disrespectful to my service. So I really had to learn through the highs and lows of life what a blessing it was to have money when I had it, and how hard it is to not have money when you don't have it. And I hustled and hustled and hustled my bar money, and I would put all the cash away in this like little container, and I actually bought my ring light and my camera and my camera mic to start my YouTube channel with that bar money that I'd saved up. So that's a very quick but long overview of kind of like the ups and the downs of my life financially. And I am in a very, very good place right now, and I'm so humbled and appreciative. And I will say, you guys, every single day, if not every day, every week, normally in the shower, I take a moment to talk to God. And the biggest thing that I thank Him for is that when I go into a grocery store now, I don't have to calculate what I'm putting in my cart, because for years that was my reality. And that I'm able to put the groceries in my cart that I want to, that I'm able to buy groceries for family members, that I'm able to pay my bills without hesitation, because I remember our hot water being shut off. I remember our electricity being shut off. I remember our phones being cut off. I remember all of it. And it's a very humbling thing to not have the money for your basic needs and necessities in life. It's very difficult. And going back to the tweet that kind of brought this tangent on for me, it's so sad that others will look down on those who are struggling or those who don't have money in their bank accounts, because the thing is, that is a reality for a lot of people at some point in their lives. I used to wonder when I had no money if having money would bring happiness. And this is where I know it's a little controversial to say, but I don't believe actually, I know for a fact money doesn't buy happiness, but it is a lot more safe and secure to be depressed and to be sad with money in your bank account. Because while you're still dealing with the emotions of life, while you're still dealing with what's going on in here and in here, you're not worrying about if you have money to buy groceries. You're not worrying about if your bills are going to be cut off. You're not worrying about your bills. You're not worrying about if your bills aren't paid and if your electricity or things that you need to survive are going to be cut off. So while I don't believe money buys happiness, because it doesn't, I do believe that I would much rather be depressed with money than depressed with no money. With that being said, I have seen people with much less than I've ever had, even in my lowest of points, with more happiness in their heart, with more kindness in the way that they approach life, with more gratitude in the way that they appreciate every single thing. And that is when you know that there are two things that make you truly wealthy in life, and neither are money. The first is love, happiness, family, all of that bundled in one. And the second is your health. You could be the richest person in the world, but if you don't have happiness, love, family, and just overall love in your heart, or you don't have good health, that money means nothing. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and at the end of it all, the number in your bank account is not what you get to take out of this life. You're gonna take the moments of feeling love and feeling joy and feeling happiness and even feeling heartbreak and experiencing the highs and lows of life and everything that your soul is learning and all the knowledge that it's accumulating over your time here on earth. That is what's gonna matter. That's what's gonna go with you. But I also understand that while that's what's important, there are basic needs of survival that come along with money. And so it's this constant debate in my mind of the significance and the importance of money. As somebody who has had so much money and somebody who's had no money, I can say that it didn't change what was going on in here or in here. It did change the way that I live my life, because every single moment that I can go to the grocery store and swipe my card and not have that stress that my mother felt and that I felt, where you don't know if it's gonna go through. So now I'm continuously more appreciative for each and every blessing in my life. But it didn't change my mental health. It didn't change my physical health. It didn't change anything other than stability. Your financial situation can change on the flip of a dime, for better or for worse. What's here today could be gone tomorrow, and what's not here today could arrive tomorrow. True. You should never base your self-worth or your value on the number in your bank account or the money that you hold in your hands. Nor should you ever base the self-worth or the value of others on the number in their bank account or the money in their hands. No matter the situation that you came from. My father grew up very, very poor. Like I said, they sold their car one year for Christmas gifts. Well, his mom did. And my father is so successful today because he built that himself. He took knowing the life that he had and turned it into a life that was very prosperous and full of wonderful things. But even my dad will say his childhood was filled with so many beautiful memories, happiness, and most importantly, love and family. And there is no price tag on love, family, and happiness. Zero. If money fixed every problem, you wouldn't see some of the wealthiest people committing suicide. You wouldn't see some of the wealthiest people in states of depression. In fact, I can actually vouch for this. With more money comes more problems. And the more money you have, the more that people see you for your dollar. They don't see you for your worth inside. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It is not shameful to be in a season of life where if you go into a grocery store, you're calculating on a calculator to make sure that you don't go over budget. It is not shameful to go up and get your card declined. It is not embarrassing, because that is a time in your life that's shaping you into the person that you are inevitably going to become and are meant to be. Utilize those moments as motivation to want more in life, but make sure to never put your self-worth or your self-value on your financial situation, because like I said, it can come and it can go. And trust me, at many points of your life, it probably will. What's important is who you are as a person. What's important is the mark that you're going to make on the world. What's important is what you have to offer spiritually, emotionally, and just overall with what you have going on internally. I have never been somebody, and anybody who knows me will tell you this, who desires to be the richest person in the world. In fact, when I sometimes hear about people with billions of dollars, I'm like, I wouldn't know what to do with billions of dollars. I really and truly wouldn't. I would try to do as much good as I could with it, but I don't confidently feel that I would know what to do with that kind of money in my hands other than trying to give back. And that sounds cliche and it sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. The one and only thing that I've ever desired from God, and the one and only thing that I've ever prayed for financially from God, is to have the money to never stress. To have the money that if Ace gets sick, I can take him to the vet and get whatever he needs done to be okay. To have the money that if somebody in my family needs help, I can give to them. To have the money that if I pass somebody on the street or come across somebody who needs financial assistance, that I can give that to them. But most importantly, to have the money to never have to stress whether or not I'm still gonna have a roof over my head, whether or not my bills are gonna be paid, and whether or not I'll have food on the table. That is all that I have ever desired from God financially. That is all that I've ever hoped for, is that money isn't a stress, because I have seen and I've felt the stress of money. And there is nothing more scary than not having the means to support yourself. But that doesn't define you, because in fact, some of the wealthiest people have had moments of not even $1 in their pockets. And I can guarantee you it has made them more generous, more gracious, more appreciative, more giving than they would have ever been had they have had financial stability their entire lives. If you are going through financial difficulties, I want you to utilize that as motivation to work hard and build the life of your dreams. But I also want you to take the lessons that are in the center of having financial difficulties, to find joy in things that aren't materialistic, to find joy in your experiences and those around you. I like designer things. I don't like designer things for the sake of designer. If I like how it looks and I really like the style of it, then I really do like designer things. But at the end of the day, I look at like any designer items that I've purchased, and I am so humbled by the hard work that got me those items. I would never have the same views on life, finances, materialistic items, and just everything and anything that comes along with that had I not have known what it means to have nothing. And for that reason, I have made it my life mission to help anybody that I can along the way, and to time and time again give thanks to God for absolutely everything. So while I don't believe that money buys happiness, I do believe that money is something that does add stability, security, and comfort to your life. But it's not the be all and end all of everything. I don't know, you guys, I just went on like the world's biggest tangent. I could talk here for hours, and sometimes I have to cut myself off because I'm like, Hailey, you are talking in circles. Like, they get the point. But most importantly, I just really want to sit here and tell you watching this video right now, this video came into your life for a purpose and for a reason. Gather from it whatever message the universe wants you to gather from it. Remember that if you're in financial hardships right now, utilize it as motivation, and recognize and remember that so many successful people have been there, that so many people in the entertainment industry that have made millions of dollars have came from a space where they too struggled, and that you are not defined by the number in your bank account. You are not defined by the money in your pocket. And most importantly, never feel embarrassed for your financial situation, because that is just your season of life right now, and things will get better if you put good out to the universe. Pray on it if you believe in that, but most of all, work hard. I want to leave you guys with one of my favorite quotes that was told to me in a time where I was struggling, and it's not anything to do with finances, so kind of take it for what it is, but it definitely applies to how quickly your life can change and turn around. Somebody once told me, hard work trumps talent when talent doesn't work hard. So no matter how talented you are, no matter what background you come from, no matter what your financial status is, Hard work will always come out on top in the end. And I truly believe that. Don't give in to the depression that's associated with having no money. Don't feel less than those who do have money. This is your journey and it's yours to take, and it's designed perfectly for you to reach where you're meant to reach in life, which is a beautiful, wonderful destination. Like I've told you a million times throughout this video, you cannot bring your money with you at the end of this lifetime. So in the meantime, pull from the beautiful things in life that don't cost a thing. Go outside and take in the moon, take in nature, take in the stars, take in the sun. Take a deep breath right now and recognize that you are living, you are breathing, you are here, and you are here for a purpose. And whether or not you have millions in your bank account, or whether or not you're just getting by paycheck to paycheck, your life purpose is just as significant as anybody in a different financial situation than you. One final little story I want to conclude with, and if you guys have made it this far, thank you. I know I'm rambly, but one Thanksgiving, my mom and I, it was right after my grandpa had passed away, and we were losing our house, and we had no money in the bank account, and we definitely couldn't afford a turkey dinner. My mom and I went to McDonald's, and we split a $1.49 double cheeseburger. And they accidentally thought we said bacon double cheeseburger, and when they rang it up, it was over $1.49, and we only had, exactly enough for this burger and a drink. We were getting pop too. And we had to tell them, you guys, to take back the burger and take the bacon off of the burger because we couldn't afford it. And the cashier was actually very sweet and said, you know what, happy Thanksgiving. Keep the burger with the bacon on it. And my mom and I split a $1.49 bacon cheeseburger for Thanksgiving. But I could get emotional talking about this. I was not expecting to get emotional. But in my memories, that is one of my favorite Thanksgivings because we laughed and we thought it was so funny that we got free bacon on our cheeseburger, and we just talked and laughed and spent time together, and we were happy and we were healthy, and my mom wasn't in an abusive relationship anymore, and we just had so much happiness in our hearts that I reminisce on that now, and I look back and I'm like, that's a moment where money does not buy happiness. There was nothing and nobody that could take the joy from that day for us. And it's just so humbling to look back now and remember that and to just see how far we've come. But yeah, that's a true story, you guys. And for those of you who are going to ask, my grandma was with her sisters that day and my sister was with her dad. So that's why it was just my mom and I. But life is humbling, you guys, and like I said, what's here today could be gone tomorrow, so cherish every single moment in life. Cherish every single thing. If you've got health and you've got love in your heart, you are more wealthy than some of the richest people in the world, and please never feel ashamed or guilty to get by how you have to get by, because the only fair thing about life is that it's unfair to all of us, and that's what I'm going to conclude on today. Well, you guys, that's my ranty video as to whether or not money buys happiness and the significance of money. No matter your situation, you are so loved and you are so worthy, and work hard. Have gratitude in your heart no matter how little you have, and your life will change. I promise you guys of that. But I love you guys so much. To Kai and Ken, thank you so much for inspiring this video for me. I didn't realize how much I had to say about it until I was sitting here saying it. No matter what, it's not shameful to go through difficult times. And anybody who makes you feel as though it is may be going through more difficult times than you even think. So that's it for today's video, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Wine Wednesday. For those of you who are wondering where the heck I was last week, I was in Connecticut and I went to the Warren's Occult Museum, and you guys are going to see a video on that Friday, I'm hoping. So I promise it was worth it. With that being said, there's going to be a bonus video here this week. I'm not going to tell you much about it, but it will make up for last week's Wine Wednesday. And that's it for today's video, you guys. I love you so, so, so much. No matter what season of life you're in, I love you, and you are here for a purpose. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble, and until next Wednesday, cheers, babies.